Hi, I'm Terrence Kommal. I'm in the esteemed presence and have the great pleasure of spending some time with Professor Terrence Khanna of the Harvard Business School at Harvard University. Professor, thank you for making the time.
Thank you, Terrence.
Professor Khanna, there's also the challenges of when you work in this space, when conditions are not conducive, you then need to stimulate it by sometimes what some would call unethical practice, or bluntly calling it corruption. What is your view on, whilst you're creating that opportunity, knowing where the barriers are in the developing world, whether it be in India, the Far East, or even in Africa, how does one work within that framework whilst remaining ethical, with an outward look to stakeholders, but at the same time still remaining profitable, which are multiple dynamics?
So, Terrence, corruption is a fact of life in certainly most developing countries. Some would say all countries, but certainly in the developing world. But I've come to appreciate, again, as a result of people that I look up to, whom I've had the benefit of studying and working with, and who have been mentors to me in many countries, but also my own ventures, to realize that corruption is a choice. When you are in a corrupt environment, it is incumbent upon you as the entrepreneur to choose whether you're going to participate or not. I categorically reject the idea that you have to be corrupt to get something done. I grew up in India. It's a reasonably corrupt country. I've operated in parts of Africa. I've operated in China. Some would say there's a lot of corruption in all these places. I can put my hand on my heart and say I've never had a single corruption incident in my life. Now, that hasn't meant that I've not had to walk away from situations where people have asked for corruption. And it's not just me as a relatively small entrepreneur. Massive companies have been built on entirely ethical footprint. None of this is to say that corruption is not a problem. It clearly is. But I think probably one thing that we can do is we can choose to stay away from those situations where corruption is completely endemic, if we choose to avoid it. And by the way, on corruption as a choice, we have this wonderful video case at HBS that we teach on corruption in developing countries, where we play a whole host of video clips of different people's attitudes across half a dozen countries in Latin America, Africa, Asia, demonstrating that there are multiple ways to get around corruption without being corrupt yourself.